Sometimes you have to walk through the front door. Things we learned on the playground in grade school, punch a bully in the mouth, face things head on. He's not doing it. At least that is the point of view offered by New York Times columnist Charles Blow when it comes to the way President Biden is simply ignoring all the transgressions of Donald Trump. Listen.
At what point does the person who is running, literally running on a platform of defending and protecting democracy, not engage on the biggest threat to that democracy? It is likely that there will be litigation all the way through the election. Are we saying that the president of the United States, who is running against the guy who is the greatest threat to democracy, will not be able to engage on the issue, on the fact that this person he's running against, if he ends up being the Republican nominee, he cannot say that this person is indicted on all of these counts? That it seems insane to me. I think we're living or trying to operate as if things are normal when they are absolutely not normal.
Well said. Blow went on to describe the threat Trump poses if he gets reelected.
The former president has signaled in every possible way that if he ever gets back to the White House, he will break the norms completely. He has said that he would like to suspend parts of the Constitution. Conservative groups like the Heritage Foundation are leading a charge to draw up plans right now that would make it possible for Donald Trump on day one to start to dismantle the federal government. I don't understand what we're saying here. I don't understand what we're saying, like that we're holding the powder dry, that there's another time that we're gonna be able to do this, that there's a season that's gonna come that's close to election day when all of this will change, all of our strategies will change, the surrogates will step in and do the work that the president can't do. It seems crazy to me on some level to think that there's time to get this right.
So Charles Blow fired up. Let's go to the column because he does make the case. He really dissects these train wreck behaviors of Donald Trump and why this approach of just being silent, ignoring him, is not healthy for democracy. So here's a little quote from it. This idea of a dignified silence has a long political history, but its utility and efficacy is unclear in a modern context. It feels a bit like a Happy Days nostalgia and a Walking Dead reality. Yet the Biden campaign plows ahead with it. Just last week, the Biden campaign co-chair Cedric Richmond reiterated the strategy. We're not going to focus on Donald Trump's legal problems. What are we focusing on, folks? What are we focusing on? Blow got Joe Scarborough fired up too. He jumped in and wanted to know why the current president doesn't seem to comprehend that the word rapist should also be inserted. Listen.
The judge said Donald Trump was a rapist.
Correct.
The judge said Donald Trump raped her. The judge said that by any definition, used by the US Army, used by the American Medical Association, used by any other organization, Donald Trump was a rapist. I think people might want to hear that, and they may want to hear that he stole nuclear secrets, and they may want to hear from Joe Biden that he's been charged with stealing secret war plans. I mean, these are very relevant to who the next president of the United States should and should not be.
It's strange because when you hear Joe Scarborough and Charles Blow too, to some extent, list these headlines, these real things that are accused or admitted to, it seems like it's a tabloid headline, Cenk, but these are real things and it's as if we become immune to them. But do you agree with Scarborough when he says, I think people want to hear this?
Yeah, so
I do, and it puts me in an awkward position to agree with Joe Scarborough. So I actually think this is a bit of a seminal moment in mainstream media. So let me back up and explain. So there's only a handful of people I like and respect in mainstream media. Charles Blow is definitively one of them. And this is among the reasons why, because he's a rare voice of sanity that comes out every once in a while and goes, what are we doing? Like, are you guys did you take, I didn't take the crazy pill. I think you guys took the crazy pill. Why are we saying that the Democratic nominee, if he is the Democratic nominee, should not attack the Republican nominee? Do you guys understand that sounds insane? Thank you, Charles. Thank you. Finally, someone said it. Now, Scarborough is not one of the people that I like in mainstream media, but he is a bellwether. So Morning Joe is the epicenter of the establishment. So if he's saying something, that means that's what the establishment groupthink is. So, oh my God, establishment now turning against civility. That is a major development. Because my whole life, all I've ever heard is, don't you dare raise your voice. If you're a Democrat, the best thing to do is whisper like you're on NPR and then play some banjo music. Ding, 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 ding. And like, you don't ever attack Republicans. No. When you're running against a Republican, you must embrace them and hug them and maybe even make out. That's what I've heard wall to wall my whole life from mainstream media. The dumbest strategy on the planet. Why do they do it? It's not a mistake. It's not because they're not smart. It's because civility leads to maintaining the status quo. If you're upset, you're passionate, you want a lot of change, you might change the status quo. And the establishment loves the status quo because that's what put them on top. And they don't want to change that. But now Trump is enough of a threat that they're like, all right, we're gonna offer a radical proposal here and we're gonna let Charles Blow say this in the New York Times and on MSNBC. Maybe Democrats should fight Republicans. That's actually breaking news. It's insanity that it's breaking news. Look, here's who's not going to do it. Joe Biden. That's not in his nature. That's not what he does. We can talk about 2020. I'm very happy to talk about that. Okay, but as a warm up to that, I'll tell you right now, Joe Biden is polling 13 points lower than he was in 2020. And in the Electoral College, he barely beat Trump. Now, hobbled by the incumbency and all the problems that come with it, 13 points lower and walking around the stage not knowing where the hell he is, we're supposed to say that Biden's the only one who could beat Trump in the Democratic Party? We only have one person who's barely competent that could beat a fascist? Thank you, Charles Blow, for saying things that are true, for saying things that are obvious. I'm gonna go further. We have a petition, we launched it last night. Go to tyt.com/campaigns, you'll see it. President Biden, please drop out. Please drop out. Read the petition. It's written in a very polite way. You can send it to your establishment Democratic friends because they now agree. 2/3 of Democrats saying, sorry, but you gotta go. We'll put the link down below in the description box. Make sure you're signing it. Look, it just got started. And so a couple thousand signatures ain't gonna do it. I'm keeping it real with you guys. But 1 million people signed that petition, and that is gonna get everyone's attention. And then the pressure is going to mount and mount and mount. We cannot just have this guy try to do cruise control, not even campaign. He hasn't proposed a single thing for what he's gonna do in his next term. He hasn't attacked Trump at all. He can barely tie his shoelaces at this point, and we're all supposed to bow our heads and say, thank you, sir. Please go on to lose the election because it's the most important election of our lifetimes. If it's the most important election of our lifetimes, this is definitely not what you do.
Listen, I'm not one for sports analogies or talking about sports because I'm not well versed in foosball. But I will say this: it is funny that we're talking about this at this moment when we just saw Denver's head coach come at his quarterback for the very same thing, being too passive and also kissing too many babies and not being a quarterback, not being a dog ready to fight. It is absolutely ridiculous to believe that President Joe Biden is telling the world, and his campaign is telling the world that they're not gonna attack Donald Trump for all of his criminal indictments when he's actually making the case about our democracy being threatened. Well, if you wanna make that thing seem real, just use Donald Trump 91 charges. Why not? Why keep talking about democracy as this elusive thing that most of Americans can't really understand or wrap their heads around when you could just point to the crimes that Donald Trump are accused of? Why are we waiting on this? I mean, for me, it is absolutely illogical. It was illogical when he told Hillary Clinton not to fight back, and she lost. using his tactic. So this idea that you're gonna stop attacking Trump when he's gonna attack you every time he's in front of a camera or on his Truth Social, which is not truthful, it is ridiculous. It is a failed strategy, and as Cenk said, it is all about maintaining the status quo. Civility has never won anybody looking to change something they're going against. So this idea that you can battle Trump being civil makes no sense. It rings true to no one. No one. And I think the bigger thing here is, the bigger threat here is, we have seen Joe Biden with a fight. I mean, people might not remember when he was talking about or criticizing his party and the Republicans about apartheid in South Africa and ending it, he was screaming at the top of his lungs. Now, of course, that was 30-some, 40-some years ago, and that dog may not be in him anymore. That just speaks to the need for him to maybe consider even letting us have a real primary on the Democratic side, or taking a walk, like Cenk said. Drop out. I cannot believe that the Democrats are willing to risk what they're calling what may be the last election as we know it. If we lose, we see Donald Trump trying to end democracy, and Joe Biden not fighting back is helping him do it.
Yeah, I gotta say a couple more things. Look, politics is about marketing. You have to put out a message that's positive about your side and negative about the other side. If you don't do that, you're losing voters every single day. So Charles Blow, not only right on the substance, but right on the timing. Every day you don't go out there and attack the other side and make a positive case for yourself, you're losing the ability to get more and more voters. Doing it at the last second is irrational. That doesn't make any sense. Besides which, it's not true. Joe Biden's never gonna do it. He just loves Republicans too much. So in 2020, he barely fought, and everybody was like, oh, Joe Biden, what a hero for beating Trump. But brothers, you know what happened. The people didn't go out there to vote for Joe Biden. They went out there to vote against Donald Trump. And now he's trying to take credit for that, okay? But you're now 13 points lower. And you barely won the Electoral College last time because you wouldn't campaign. You wouldn't be aggressive. You wouldn't fight Republicans. Every time he talks about Republicans, he's like, oh, my dear beloved friends. Well, you're just putting out a positive message about the opposing party. Total, utter incompetence. If all the establishment didn't unite, and most importantly, establishment media didn't unite behind Biden last time, he was coming in 4th and 5th place in Iowa and New Hampshire. This guy is not actually good at politics. The only thing he was is, it's Joe, I'm not Donald Trump, Biden. Jesus Christ. And then powder dry, if the fascists are about to take over and end democracy, what the hell do we have the powder for? No, none of this makes any logical sense. All of this is a giant excuse for the establishment saying, the dear leader, Joe Biden, has declared he will run again. No one is allowed to run against him. You must all bow your heads. It is undemocratic. It is against progressive principles, democratic principles. You should not listen to it. And the fact that even establishment media has now gotten tired of it is unbelievable, unprecedented, and a sea change.
Yeah, and remember, Representative Clyburn cleared the way. I mean, you're right. I saw people with clothespins on their nose going to the polls if they decided to get up that day and go ahead and cast their vote against Trump. And it was just horrific, a horrific performance. But is that going to be enough this time? I couldn't agree with you more.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.